The robbery occurred at mid-morning at the Fort Worth National Bank, 700 Houston Street, downtown Fort Worth. One man entered the bank and forced tellers Bruce Rose and Judy Isbell to empty several cash drawers. Bank Vice President David McLelland said both employees were forced at gunpoint to leave the bank with the robber.
They took two hostages outside the bank. Approximately 1 block from the bank, one of the hostages broke away from him. The other hostage was placed in the car and later released when the police captured this robber.
The bank was already surrounded by police at the time the robber forced teller Bruce Rose into a nearby car. He commandeered the automobile driven by 21-year-old Charles Rankin. His 3-year-old son Chad was also in the car. Rankin of 901 Chicago Street in Fort Worth said he was on his way to the bank to deposit some money. He told of the last few frightening moments of the robbery kidnapping.
I took my little boy and pushed him in the seat, and he's sitting there saying, "I'll kill them all, I'll kill them all. If you just, if you don't stay away." And so I took my little boy and shoved him in the floorboard and put my foot on his head, and reached back there. He had that gun toward me. I reached back there, and he was looking at an officer about that time, and I reached back there and grabbed the gun.
And then the police came up.
And then the police came up and shot him, put a gun to his stomach, and I was wrestling over the gun. I had both hands on it, and he had both hands. He fired once, and the pin cut me right there. I had my hand between the arm and the firing pin, trying to keep him from shooting it. And he cocked it back again, and I was trying to get away from him. And I reached and grabbed it with my left hand underneath, trying to keep him from shooting the trigger, pulling the trigger. And by that time, the officer, I think it was the detective, some man in a suit, walked up and shot him in the stomach.
The holdup man has been identified as Robert Hale Irwin of Fort Worth. He was shot several times by police officers. All of the money was recovered. The money sacks that Irwin died for showed signs of his death, several blood-spattered stains. All of the hostages were unharmed, although a little shaken. Rankin had another unpleasant experience before him. As he left the police station today, he was on his way to his grandfather's funeral. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move in Fort Worth.
After 3 days of testimony by 11 state witnesses who piled up damaging evidence against McKee, the defense, along with the state, closed its case today. McKee never took a stand in his own defense, and defense attorney Bill Alexander called no witnesses. Tomorrow, both sides will present their final arguments, the judge will give his charge to the jury, and then the 12 jurors will deliberate McKee's fate. All day long today, state witnesses testified about everything but the charge McKee's on trial for. High Scottish Rite official Lee Lockwood of Waco swore that he'd never authorized McKee to buy a girlfriend a 4-carat diamond ring with Scottish Rite funds, nor had he given McKee permission to finance a bridal rehearsal dinner for that girlfriend. Lockwood also denied that he knew Scottish Rite funds had been used as partial payment for his son-in-law's automobile. Defense attorney Bill Alexander objected repeatedly to all these hints of embezzlement. They're trying to dump a garbage can on McKee's head, the defense said. McKee himself smiled. Next, they'll get me for going to the bathroom wrong. The crux of the argument, according to McKee's lawyers, is that McKee can't be accused of embezzling from Lockwood because Lockwood really had no control over Dallas Scottish Rite money. Prosecuting attorney Doug Mulder says that Lockwood does control the money and that McKee was never authorized to spend that money for illegitimate purposes. Martha McIntyre, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Oh, it affects your preparation a little because you have to, instead of spending the first 2 weeks intently on two-a-days and getting your basic offense in and that type of thing, you have to kind of blend that with getting ready for your opponent. And now now that the game is over, we'll have to see if we can go out and probably go into a little more two-a-days while we're playing preseason games, which we haven't done in the past.
This room is probably one of the most important aids we have in combating cattle thieves and organized rustling in Texas today. If it weren't for space-age techniques and this electronic system here, we'd be in a bad way.
How many brands can you check here in a very short period?
We can review about 1,400 brands in 8 seconds here. And this lady operating the machine is looking at a tremendous number of cattle each day, searching for stolen cattle that have been reported to us.
Now, what are the chances, if someone rustles some cattle, let's say this week, what are the chances of him successfully selling those cattle here in the state?
It's very difficult for them to sell the cattle and not be detected or picked up by this machine. We have the information from the market where the cattle were sold within 2 days of the time it was brought to the market, and within 3 days' time we're usually on our way.
Well, most of your state statutes have various sorts of penalties and provisions which will enable them to stop a school from doing business, for example. Under our guides, they're not intended to be regulations or punitive provisions. They're intended to inform the operators of proprietary schools as to how they can avoid violations of the Federal Trade Commission Act. Now, the part of the Federal Trade Commission Act we're concerned with is Section 5, which prohibits the use of unfair and deceptive acts or practices in commerce. Now, there's no penalty provided in the Act for violation. However, if there is a suspected violation, the Commission can institute proceedings against the offender, and if the facts are proven, can enter a cease and desist order against him. In other words, tell him to stop doing this. If he violates this order, why, then the Act provides for civil penalties in the amount of $5,000 for each violation.
This is Soldiers Field in Chicago, and those on the field are not the Baltimore Colts, they are not the Green Bay Packers, nor the New York Jets, nor the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are the Dallas Cowboys, and it seems a bit unreal to see them here, because they are here, of course, as yet another facet in the culmination of what Clint Murkison called last January his 12-year plan for the club. They are here to play the College All-Stars in less than 2 hours, a game that you'll be watching on Channel 8. The Cowboys have been looking forward to this game. Coach Landry is quite serious about it. We have heard rumblings out in Thousand Oaks, California all week to the effect that he does not plan to play many rookies because he does not want his team to become the first professional team to lose since 1963. Just another added insight to it all, I was talking with Chuck Halley earlier this week and asking if the college option play was giving the linebackers any difficulty. It was on Tuesday that I posed the question, as I recall, and he says it does now, but it won't by Friday. Kickoff, less than 2 hours away, as we said. You can watch the game on Channel 8. The Cowboys 17-point favorites as champions of the National Football League. This is Verne Lundquist in Chicago for Channel 8 Sports with the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I think they're really good, especially this year. I think I'm at the right age. I'm 22 now, and if I just do as well as I did last year, I think I could make the team, and I'm a lot stronger and a lot faster and a lot better condition than I was last year.
What kind of time do you think you'll have to have in order to make the team?
Well, I think in the 200 freestyle, it'll probably take a 154.5, and 100 freestyle will probably be about 52 flat, around in there.
I know a guy has to get up mentally to play a basketball game and also for a football game. How does a swimmer prepare himself mentally?
Well, starting about 2 or 3 weeks before a big meet like this meet, we'll just start resting all during the day and quit our jobs or whatever, and just concentrating on the race, thinking about the race and thinking what kind of breathing patterns we're going to have and who our competition is going to be and just exactly what we're going to have to do to do the job.
Now, will you swim the 100-meter backstroke and the 200-meter backstroke in Chicago?
Yes, that's correct.
What has been your best time in both events?
My best time for the 100 meters is 59.9, and my best time for the 200-meter backstroke is 209.9.
Well, how did you feel when you found out you had been invited?
I was real happy. Of course, me and Paul and Jennifer and Coach Mack went up last year to Cincinnati at the end of the year when we were shaved to hit the cutoffs there. And to say have a time, you have to hit a cutoff time to be invited. And we hit them there, so I was real happy about hitting them last winter, so I won't have to worry about it this summer.
Now, what do you think you can swim in Chicago? Even if you don't make the team, I'm hoping that you do, but what do you think that you will swim up there? What are you shooting for? What time are you shooting for?
1:07 flat or under. That's really fast.
What's the national time in the breaststroke?
National time, you mean the fastest time?
Right.
The fastest time, world's record, is a 5.8, 1:05.8. And to make the team, you'll have to be under a 7.
I'm going to be in a little bit different situation than the other guys because I had my big meet 2 weeks ago at Los, the senior circuit meet, where I qualified to go to the Olympic trials. So I've already had my big peak, and it's going to be hard for me to rise up again and try to do a great job in Chicago. I hope I can.
Professional. Let those people know it. Let them know that you have professional help. Eating for yourself a commercial. Your introduction.
And remember, whatever you do, if you've done this already, ladies and gentlemen,
I can stand and work for
the way you ordinarily shell a sail. But start out very slow. Very slow.
$200, $250, $50 here, $250, $300 here, now $3.50, $400, sir. I'm at $400 here now, $5.25 here now, $35, $50, $75, I've been now $6 here, $11.25. I'm at $36 here now, $25 now, $50. Are you done, sir? Really get $75 out there, $37 are you through? I'm at $37 here now, $25, $50, $75, I've been at $38 here in the quarter there now, sold a steer, $38. Thank you.
Sales. I'm kind of glad to say my average sales are only about 2.5 hours.
I sold 60, 30, now 40, now 50, now 60, now 70, now 80, now 90. Sold 80, and I $3 bill. It's $3 on a $4 bill, bum a $4 on a $5 bill, bum a $6 bill, bum a $7. And you give me $8 now, $29, and a $30 bill, give $1 on a $2 bill. Half and now 2, you want me 2 now quarter, now hey, 32 and a half, now 75, and now 33. Yeah, 30 and a half there, somebody buying 31 and a quarter, 50 on there, somebody buying $2 on there, 32, who get 185 for it. Yeah, 175 for no 85, sold to you 31.75. Thank you, Ron. There now, 25, then $50 here now, 75 out of there now, $1 in my there now, one quarter dollar, then $50.
Come on. We'll leave the baby back real safe. Go.
The glitter of the Fairmont Hotel makes it one of the most popular convention centers in Dallas, especially for jet-set types. Hardly the place one would expect to find a convention of auctioneers. But auctioneers are meeting at the Fairmont, more than 600 of them from across the country, for their national convention. And the cowboy boots and white socks style of some contrasted sharply with the up-to-date fashions of others. And according to speakers at a morning bid-calling seminar, style is what auctioneering is all about. The trademark of the professional auctioneer is his sound, a trademark that requires long hours to perfect. But what works for one man doesn't necessarily work for another, as demonstrated at today's seminar. This is hardly the kind of thing one would expect in the International Ballroom of the Fairmont, but sometimes the unexpected is the most fun of all. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move.